What's up, everybody? Well, I got another gameplay video for you guys today, and today we're going to look at Cyberpunk 2077, but at 1440p, which this is the first video I'm making with the laptop in its new home. I figure it makes a lot more sense since I go from the laptop to 1440p as well, to have the laptop sitting right here so I can just do 1440p now instead of doing ultra wide, then 1440p. So, just makes more sense this way. Anyway, let's just quickly jump in and look at some settings and get started with this.
So let's just have a quick look at the display settings screen. We're only going to look at this real fast and once because we're not changing anything in here. Just showing you we're running at 2560 with no VSync and nothing interfering with the FPS. So let's move on to actual low settings. So here we go with the low preset. Here's all the settings. And alright, let's move on. So starting out the 1440p gameplay out with some low gameplay here. So why don't we just casually walk around for a minute and then we'll just start running around like this. Alright, let's run across the street so I don't get fucking run over by a car. Bunch of hops. No, random people. Alright, that's a pretty weird sounding advertisement. Ooh, that was real close. I almost got hit by a car right there.
Hey!
Okay, let us move on.
Starting off camera, gameplay with some low. So let us just walk around and have some fun. See if I can't find some peoples to battle. Hey, speaking of the devil. Oh shit. Wow. Well, that was a terrible idea. But we are on the hardest difficulty after all. Oop, didn't mean to kick my camera there. Had an itch. Alright. Let's just run around a little more here. Try and find some people to battle that won't instantly kill me and only get 800 damage with a headshot. Alright. I'd say that's good enough. Why don't we just move on to the next graphics setting?
Moving up to medium settings now. Let's check them out real quick. And there we go. All that stuff we will do at the end. And let's move on. Now for some medium gameplay.
What do you think you're doing?
Getting by you because you guys are slow and taking up the whole damn sidewalk. Nice sunny day though.
Hey, wait!
Go under this little place here.
Look
I
out!
want to look out. You look out. Alright, let's start running again. Because that's when it really starts to make the FPS go down. Just barely under 60 at 58 there. Alrighty, and now we can move on.
Moving on to some medium camera gameplay now. Yeah, this game definitely pushes your CPU pretty hard. Well, at least this one, since it's an 8-core 16-thread. Ooh, there's some stutter. Nope. That'll be just like the last time. They will absolutely just destroy me. And again, a bunch of people that will probably smoke me if I attack them. That's lame. I'm halfway tempted to just give it a shot anyway. But I'll do so after we move on to the next graphics setting.
Now we're going to tackle high settings, so let's just quickly look over them. Alright, and like before, I'll do all that at the end, so why don't we get into that gameplay now? Now for a little high gameplay. Let's try to shoot these people in the face. Oh wow, that didn't do very much damage. I'm probably going to die. Let's heal a little. Got another headshot. Oh, nope, dead. Well, that was no fun. Guess they were a little too strong for me. No big deal, though. At least this serves as a good loading screen. Speed test. Wasn't really expecting on running one of those, but hey, here we are. Alright, let's just keep running around for a little bit longer, seeing as though that wasn't anywhere near 2 minutes. Alright, let's just keep running down the road, I guess. Keep on running. Alright, though. We're getting pretty close to a 2-minute mark now. So, now why don't we move on?
Now for some high camera recorded gameplay. Kept trying to get into battles, but keep getting owned. I need to level up more. I'm only level 21 after all. Can't expect to own everybody. Well, there goes a shitbox of a car. Yeah, that picture up there is going to be that guy right there pretty soon if he doesn't fix his car. Like some food court or something? No, just some subway? Yeah, it looks like down there goes the subway or something. Still running pretty good though. We're dropping under 60 every once in a while at high, but for the most part we stay above 60. I cross here. Well, alright, it is time to move on.
Now for ultra settings. So let's very quickly go over these. Pretty much turns everything up to max. There's like 2 or maybe 3 settings that can go to insane, but not really worth the performance hit versus the difference between them and high and ultra and all that. So, and again, we'll do all that at the end. So now let's do gameplay. Now for some ultra gameplay here. We're definitely dropping a little under 60 now, for sure. And this is why I don't play very many games on Ultra at 1440p on this laptop. Not unless I can get away with getting lots of FPS at the same time. But not in a game like this. Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Physics for the win. Cops, you're not doing your job. There's a damn car that's like phased into the earth back there. Go do something about it. Alright, anyway, let's just run around a little more here. Driving all the way down to the 40s. High 40s, but still. car about did a wheelie. Alright, let's run a little more now.
Hey, can't you see me?
Alright, let's just zip across the street real quick, and we didn't get hit. Hell yeah. But it is time to move on, so let's go do that.
Now we're on Ultra, doing some camera gameplay here. Right, it looks like cars are about to pop wheelies. Though we just saw a car in the ground earlier, so I guess we shouldn't be too surprised. But yeah, we're definitely dropping under 60 a bunch at Ultra, but 1440p Ultra is not always going to work on this laptop, especially in games like this. But perhaps with the help of FSR, it could be a little doable. You never know. We'll have to wait and see once we get to that stage, but we still have to do ray tracing. Just stock ray tracing after that, or after this. Looks like that guy over there is about to snort a whole bunch of cocaine. There's some policies. Let's just leave them the hell alone. If normal people own me, I can't imagine what the cops would do to me at this level. Out of my way, man. No time for you. But it is time to move on to ray tracing.
Moving right along to ray tracing medium now. So let's go look over those settings very quick. And there you go, as we can see, these are the settings that are on when it's on medium. And now let's move right along. Alright, let's do a little bit of some ray tracing medium now at 1440p. That's not very good FPS, but hey, whatever. We're just doing a quick minute of this anyway. So I'll just have to deal with it. And that guy looks kind of sad. He's just like slumped over. Looked like he only had one arm though, so I'd be sad too. Oh boy, that's a lot of people. Oh, there's that coke fiend guy again. And alright, that's about a minute, so let's move on.
Now for a little ray tracing medium here. Already not boding very well, getting only 22 FPS. Hey, it's that creature from RoboCop. And when you run it really gets choppy. Man, I dread to know what ultra ray tracing is going to be like. Alright, let us move on.
Now for some Ray Tracing Ultra, which is probably going to go really bad if we were only getting 25 FPS before, but let's look at the settings anyway. And there we go, everything's on Ultra. And we'll do Super Resolution later. So let's move on. So here's Ultra Ray Tracing now, and yeah, not very good at all. 15, 16 FPS. Yeah, absolutely abysmal. But after seeing how it ran at 1080p, I was not very surprised. Let's just run. Well, surprisingly, when we run, at least it's not dropping down to like 7 or 8. So I guess I should be happy about that, because that's kind of like what happened with most of the rest of the settings. You know, you start running and it drops like 10 FPS sometimes, you know? So I guess I should be happy about that, but still completely unplayable. No doubt about that. And with that, let's just move on. Now we're going to do some FSR Ultra Quality, but I also put the game on Ultra, because I figured that'd be a good baseline for FSR. So, no ray tracing yet, we'll combine the two at the end. So, as you can see, Ultra Quality. Now let's just move on, shall we? Okay. Now we're going to do some FSR Ultra Quality. A little screen record gameplay first. Oh, that's good. That's how I like to walk too. I just phase on top of things. Yep, they still got a lot of work to do. It's getting better with every update, but they still have lots of work to do. Unfortunately, by the time they do, if ever, make this game perfect, everyone's already gonna be so, you know, done and over with. It's not gonna matter. I mean, I'll still enjoy it, but I am not everybody. Generally, people are like, oh, that game was buggy and trash, and I don't really care about it. But I like the story, and it's still a neat concept, so I can at least appreciate that. Alright though, let's move on to the next setting.
Starting out FSR on Ultra Quality here. So why don't we just walk around? It definitely seems to help a little bit. I remember we were struggling to keep above 60. We were in like the mid 50s like, almost all the time. Like low 60s without FSR on at all. Now let's do a quick running test. That's where we usually drop quite a few FPS. We dropped down to 57, but 52, 51. Still though, it's doing alright. Alright, let's just walk around again to a big populated area here. And with that, it's time to move on.
Now we're going to do some FSR Ultra Quality, but I also put the game on Ultra, because I figured that'd be a good baseline for FSR. So, no ray tracing yet, we'll combine the two at the end. So, as you can see, Ultra Quality. Now let's just move on, shall we? Okay. Now we're going to do some FSR Ultra Quality. A little screen record gameplay first. Oh, that's good. That's how I like to walk too. I just phase on top of things. Yep, they still got a lot of work to do. It's getting better with every update, but they still have lots of work to do. Unfortunately, by the time they do, if ever, make this game perfect, everyone's already gonna be so, you know, done and over with. It's not gonna matter. I mean, I'll still enjoy it, but I am not everybody. Generally, people are like, oh, that game was buggy and trash, and I don't really care about it. But I like the story, and it's still a neat concept, so I can at least appreciate that. Alright though, let's move on to the next setting.
Starting out FSR on Ultra Quality here. So why don't we just walk around? It definitely seems to help a little bit. I remember we were struggling to keep above 60. We were in like the mid 50s almost all the time. Like low 60s without FSR on at all. Now let's do a quick running test. That's where we usually drop quite a few FPS. Well, we dropped down to 57, but 52, 51. Still though, it's doing alright. Alright, let's just walk around again to a big populated area here. And with that, it's time to move on.
Now let's check out FSR Balanced Settings. All this is the same, so we're just going to cruise right through it. The only thing that really matters is this. It is on quality. So, now let's get into some quality gameplay. Now for a little quality FSR gameplay. Alright, let's just run. Still doesn't look too bad. So both ultra quality and quality are both acceptable. And you get a little bit of a FPS performance boost. So that's neat. Because we were dropping way into the 50s before. In an even less populated area than that, so it's definitely doing something.
Hey, can't you see me?
No. I'm assuming they were talking to somebody they were honking at, but if they were talking to me, no, I could not see you. There was a wall there. Alright, let's just run up the road a little bit here. Alright, let's move on.
Now for some FSR quality. Camera recorded gameplay here. Alright. That definitely seems to do pretty good. So yeah, FSR is a must if you want to do Ultra at 1440p and get decent frames. Doesn't look that bad. Interested to see how it does on the ray tracing part, but no time for that now. It's time to move on to the next FSR.
Now we're going to have a look at the balanced FSR settings. So let's go do that. All of this stuff is exactly the same, so we don't have to spend too much time on that. But here's the part that counts. So now let's go and get some gameplay in. So now we got FSR on balanced. So let's just take a stroll. Still doesn't look too awful bad. I mean, I can start to notice a hair. That something is definitely, you know, up. But I really have to look for it. If I just run around like this and just enjoy the game for what it is, I would never notice that this had like FSR on, I don't think. But I would notice this great, giant FPS increase. Damn, this is a great addition to this game. I still don't think it's going to make ray tracing completely playable, but whatever. We'll see about that. It at least made medium playable on 1080p, so maybe medium will be playable on this. On 1440, but we'll have to wait until we get to that stage of the video now, won't we? Alright, though. It is now time for us to move on.
Now for FSR Balanced. We're definitely getting some decent FPS now, but definitely can notice it's starting to, or the fidelity, graphical fidelity is starting to fade, but this still doesn't look awful yet. So far, I feel like the way to go is Ultra and quality. So far, from what I've seen. Alright, let's run a little bit. Alright, and now with that we can move on.
And now we've made it to the performance FSR part, so all this is the same. Let's go look. Yep, there we go, performance. So, now we can get into some performance gameplay. So, here's performance, and now you can definitely tell a big difference in quality now. Lots of jaggies. This is pretty low resolution at this point. I would guess maybe 720p? Probably, yeah. I'd guess 720p if I had to just guess at what resolution this is running at. Because I know Ultra Performance is definitely a sub 720p, because that looks absolutely god-awful. That's got to be like 540p or something like that. Moon cheese. Alright though, let's move on, shall we?
Now we're moving on to some camera performance FSR here. Oop, I got caught up. Alright, let's run a little bit. Hey, there's that big old place again. Let's go in here this time for fun. There's lots of people here, so that should be a good test. Yeah, this is definitely the mode for the people who don't give a crap about graphics as much, but want lots of FPS, but for some reason want to put everything up to ultra. Oh, I was going to say, I thought that was a floating basketball for a second, but let's move on.
Now we gotta move right along to FSR Ultra Performance. So, again, all that's the same, but here we are, Ultra Performance FSR. So, let's go see how terrible this looks. Well, here we are in FSR Ultra. And yeah, definitely pretty damn low res, that is for sure. But regardless, let's just run around for a minute or so and take in the sights and look at the FPS. Because there's at least plenty of that. It may have made it look like absolute garbage, but it definitely gave us a lot of FPS, so... if that's all you care about, you could probably put this game on, you know, low and turn this on and be getting like 165 FPS easy. Well, probably more like 144, let's be honest. This game's not exactly easy to run. Well, alright though. It's time to move on to the next one.
Ultra FSR performance now. Camera recorded. And I'm pretty much dubbing this the make your game look like it's running on Switch even with everything all up mode. I imagine if you could make this game run on the Switch, it would be like this. Only with the rest of the settings turned way down too, where it would almost probably look like a PS2 game. And that's probably why the game's not on there. It just isn't a possibility. GPU and CPU in that thing are just too weak. That's why I also don't get AAA titles for that thing. I just get like old school Nintendo games and Nintendo exclusives for the most part, and a bunch of indie games that are fun for on the road. That's all I do with my Switch. But now let's go play around with FSR and ray tracing and see how that does. That is what I'm more interested in.
So now we're going to have some fun and combine ray tracing medium with FSR. So let's just cruise down, look at the settings one time pretty decently, and then we're just going to cruise past them every time after that. So here we go, our ray tracing is all medium. That's starting on ultra quality. So, well, let's move on. So we're going to do some ray trace media with some ultra quality FSR. Again, we're just going to go around for a minute or so, otherwise the video we're getting way too long. It's already going to be very long, but it would be way, way too long if I did 2 minutes each of these. So, let's run back up this way and get more towards a populated area. I feel like if I keep going that way, I'm going to get way too far away from people, and it's just going to be desolate and not a good way to look for good FPS. And now it's time to move on.
Alright, some camera, medium, ray tracing, but ultra FSR. God, that gets confusing. Figure I'd come back up here where there's a little more people. It looked like I was starting to get into a more desolate area the way I was heading, and that's not going to give you a decent idea of what the FPS is actually going to be like. So, let's just run around a little bit. Ventura Road, eh? Let's just fly around that car real quick before I get hit by it. Well, I gotta say, it definitely feels more like a game now. They've added a lot more people, a lot more cars. They've definitely fixed a lot of stuff. Obviously, there's still some glitches, but I feel like a couple more patches and this game will be pretty decent. Then they can hopefully start making more DLC and like more quests and what have you. Anyway, let's move on.
Now we're going to do FSR Quality with medium ray tracing. So there we go, medium ray tracing right there. And then we got our quality FSR right here. So now let's go into that gameplay. Here we are with ray tracing on medium and FSR on quality now. And we're actually getting pretty close to 60. Oh, now we're dropping back down to 50, but hey, we were doing pretty good for a second there. So maybe balanced will get us pretty much at 60 or low 50s all the time. But we're dropping all the way into 30, so I think that's a little bit too much wishing there, but I guess we'll see. Anything's possible. Let's go across the street here. Oh, okay then. Anyway, more awesome AI shenanigans. Alright, time to move on.
Now we're going to do a little FSR quality with ray tracing on medium. So let's just see how that goes. Alright, let's move on.
Now we're going to do medium RT with some balanced FSR. So let's just take a quick look at the settings. Here we go. Ray tracing medium, all that good stuff, and that is on balanced. So now we can get into the gameplay. So now we got RT medium, balanced gameplay. So no, in the city I'm still not getting 60. But it was fun to dream.
Eat to your heart's content in Coyoacan, the tastiest food north of Oaxaca.
But if you sat there and messed around with the settings, I'm pretty sure you could have medium and 60 FPS at the same time. You just have to turn a couple other settings down. Like shadows is probably one. Like usually you can put shadows on medium and they look just about as good as they do on ultra. But ultra almost always just kills your FPS by like 10, 15, 20 FPS. Anyway though, before I start rambling too much, I think it's about time for us to get on to the next graphics setting. Well, FSR setting.
Now we're going to do some balanced camera gameplay here. With ray tracing on medium. Alright, let's do a little running. Oh, we're definitely doing pretty decent on medium, I guess. Alright though, why don't we just move on?
Now let us have a look at ray tracing medium with performance FSR. So let's scroll down here. Here we are, medium ray tracing and performance FSR. So without any more delay, let us get into that gameplay. Here we are with some performance FSR with ray tracing on medium. Well, I'm getting my almost 60 FPS now, but now the quality has gone down pretty substantially. I mean, it doesn't look absolutely horrid, but still. Alright though, let's just run around a little more here. Get us a little bit more gameplay. But there we go though. Pretty playable. Well, it's time for us to move on to the next one.
Now we're going to do a little bit of medium ray tracing with performance FSR. Do a little running. Get through some of these peeps. Alright, let's slow it down a little bit and just kind of cruise around, look around. And now we can move on to the last one.
So last up for the medium ray tracing is Ultra Performance FSR. So let's just quickly get to the bottom of this and look at the medium ray tracing right here. Okay, I think that's good enough. And then we got our Ultra Performance right here for FSR. So now let's get into some gameplay. So here we are with Ultra Performance FSR and medium ray tracing. At 1440p, this is still way too low resolution and basically unusable. I was gonna say this might be great for like a first-person shooter, but it would probably make the graphics so terrible you'd actually have trouble seeing your opponents, like behind trees and whatnot. Anyway, let's just run around a little bit more in this Vaseline-like switch mode of this game. The city is tingling with desire, is it? Alright, let us move on.
Now we're going to do the last FSR medium ray tracing, which is Ultra Performance, or as I like to call, Nintendo Switch Mode. So let's just run around here real quick. Nope, didn't get hit by a car. Almost, but not quite. Haha, no, 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 not today. Well, that's not true. It actually happened earlier. I forgot. Damn. Alright, and now let's start all over again with ray tracing set to ultra.
Alright, now last up on the menu, we're going to do Ultra Ray Tracing and FSR at the same time and see how it fares. See if we can't get somewhat playable FPS. So there we go. Ultra Ray Tracing and Ultra Quality FSR. So, gameplay time for now. Starting off, Ray Tracing Ultra with Quality FSR. Still not great FPS at all, but we're only on ultra quality for now. And I really just don't think we're going to be able to get playable frame rates at 1440p with ultra ray tracing. Maybe if we get down to that ultra performance one, but then it's going to look like garbage, so what's the point, you know?
Fucking hell.
Fucking hell is right. Alright, let us move on.
Starting things off with the camera, ray tracing ultra, and FSR in ultra quality here. I figured we weren't going to see much better FPS than not having any FSR at all, but still, get about a minute or so of this. Let's just run around a little. Alright. Alright, let's move on to the next setting.
Now for Quality FSR with Ultra Ray Tracing. Let's just look at that real quick. So there we go. Ultra Ray Tracing and Quality FSR. So let's see how it does. Now we're going to do some FSR Quality Ultra Ray Tracing. Still in the 20s. So definitely not what I would call playable, but I'm sure other people that are more used to 30 FPS that would like to have the eye candy wouldn't mind playing like this. This is still humongously better than like the 18 to 11 that we were getting before. Or it might have been 15, but still, it was really low. It was in the teens, and now we're at nearly 30 all the time, so it definitely does something. And now it's time to move on to the next one.
Now some camera, ultra, ray tracing, and quality FSR. Alright, why don't we just move right along to the next FSR setting.
Now for balanced FSR with ultra ray tracing. Let's just quickly look at that. There we are. And then as you can see here, we are definitely on balanced FSR. So now we can get into some gameplay. Here we go with some balanced FSR and ultra ray tracing. Well, it looks like we gained about 5-6 FPS, so not bad. And it still doesn't look terrible, unbalanced. I like to stand on walls and look at my cell phone. Did anybody else notice that lady back there just standing on a wall, looking at her cell phone? Honestly, I have more fun with the glitches in this game than they annoy me. Anyway, we're getting pretty close to that minute mark, so I'd say it's about time for us to move on.
Now for some balanced FSR with ultra ray tracing. Camera reported now. Time to run across a busy street. Haha, didn't get hit. Sick. Alright, let's run real quick. And with that, let's move on.
Now it's time for us to go have a look at performance FSR with ultra ray tracing. So there's that, and now we're on performance mode FSR. So now let's go see how it looks and how it plays. Okay, now we're on performance FSR setting, and we're still on ultra ray tracing. Or at least getting pretty close to 50 at times. But I don't know about you guys, but I can definitely see a pretty big graphical drop in fidelity once we get to performance, and definitely an ultra performance. But hey, if you want that ray tracing, all the lighting effects still look pretty good, even if the rest of the textures have gotten a little muddier. But it is now time for us to move on.
Now for some FSR performance with ultra ray tracing. Get a little camera gameplay in. Let's just run a little. Alright, let's run a little bit more here. And now let's move on to the last one.
Now we're moving on to the last one, and it is Ultra Ray Tracing with Ultra Performance, FSR. So now let's go look at how awesome this is going to look. Last screen recorded here is going to be Ultra FSR with Ultra Ray Tracing. Well, we're getting close to 60 at times, but it looks pretty damn abysmal.
Soy el machistador, an explosion of change.
Okie dokie then. Let's just keep running down this road here. Alright, let's cross the street here. Go back up over here. Hell yeah, sick trick. But now it's time for us to move on.
Now for some of that Ultra Performance FSR and Ultra Ray Tracing, all while looking like a Nintendo Switch somehow. Now, let's be honest, a Nintendo Switch could never have such nice reflections and stuff like that. Not with all the rest of this stuff up. Probably similar resolution, at least. That's probably why it looks like this. It's probably under 720p. But at least it's sticking close to 60 FPS. Oh, no, I say that and then it drops into the 40s so I get to a densely populated area while I'm running. That's okay. This is still way better than it was before. Remember, this was at like 18 FPS at some points before doing this exact same task. So, yes, it may look like someone smeared Vaseline all over the screen, but... Get back over here before I get stuck over there. Alright, and with that, I think it's time to wrap this video up. Well, alright, we're all done with that. It did pretty good at Cyberpunk 1440p, at least until we started going up and doing ray tracing and whatnot. Now, it's time for me to go and move on to the next resolution. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and until the next one, peace out, guys.